Oh my goodness gracious. Hello, hello, hello. This is a wonderful moment for us to be able to celebrate Women's History Month. Hi, I'm Lou with the Tiltify team, and I am pleased to be joined with one of my longtime friends and amazing, amazing woman in her own right, not just this month, but every month that I've known her, Amanda Farough. Amanda, welcome to our conversation today. Thank you so much for joining me in a short discussion about how awesome you are.
Oh, you're gonna make me blush? I'm already blushing a little bit, but I love talking with you. Lou and I have been friends for a long, long time. So it is so wonderful to see you in this role at Tiltify, and it's
Oh,
so
stop.
wonderful to be talking with you. And I wish I could hug you because I haven't seen you in like 2 years,
It's
but
been a long
soon.
time. No, it like and Amanda hugs are like just soulful, like you get recharged. You have that power. It's amazing.
I
But we're
imbue you.
not we're not talking about hugs from each other today though. We're talking about like you and like your journey as a you've worn so many hats. And so I don't really know
Hmm.
where to start, but I know when we first met you're doing a lot of like tech development.
I was.
And I want you to kind of take us on that journey of your experience, like maybe some of your influences, like maybe we'll touch on that. But let's
Sure.
start out from those early days when you decided to enter the tech industry.
Oh my goodness. So I was 3 years old. We're going all the way back.
Yes.
Uh, Listen, my dad's a tech guy. He's a network administrator. He's a server analyst. He builds small business network infrastructure so that they can have their own intranets and they have great VPN and great connections and they can take care of their clients. So my biggest influence for getting into technology is my dad. My dad's been a huge influence in my life as a gamer, not just in video games but in tabletop. You see next to me I've got like my dice hanging out here cuz I was playing D&D over the weekend.
That's awesome.
Um
Do you have are just miniatures? Do I see some miniatures over there? Or
oh, those are honestly, those are just like toys and collectibles.
oh, okay.
And this is something that my husband 3D printed so that I could show people that I might be dead. That's such a fun little dude. I love my little Among Us guy. Um, but the so like yeah, my dad was my biggest and continues to be one of my biggest influences in the tech space because of everything he taught me. I went to school for technology. I have a certificate and it's an associate bachelor's degree in computer science, if such a thing is even possible, but it was very like applied computing science. Um and yeah, I spent a couple years as a software developer. I made business software for the most
That's
part. It was very
exciting.
boring.
Hey,
So
I can't
boring.
complain. Like, Tiltify, like we're business software, sort of. We're software as a service, so that's not boring. It's
I mean,
important.
software as a service is so important, but I'm talking specifically being in a fourth party logistics warehouse chain, building, picking, packing, and invoicing systems. That's boring.
Fair, fair.
Okay, so that was boring. But I met my husband doing a lot of this, and he's been a huge support over the years as I've kind of made my way as an entrepreneur and then into game journalism. And these days I'm still a journalist, but I'm also, a content creator and a bunch of other stuff. So as I moved like through tech and I started my own business, because I started my own business in 2009. And that was, I don't know, I had a choice to make. It was, I could go back to software and I could be alienated and ostracized because I was a woman, or I could go and work at McDonald's. And I have worked at McDonald's, so I actually really did love that job when I was a teenager. Or I could start my own business and everything else be damned. I had 50 bucks in my bank account and I'm like, I'll take 30 of that. I'll invest that in my business. So that's how My design company was started in 2009 with like $50 to my name. All I had, man. That was all the money I had in the bank.
Right, but I think that one of the things that's been an ongoing thing with you is your ability to innovate and persevere. And I think that's I'm not surprised by that. So what happened? So where did that, where did this your company take you? What was
So
the adventure?
I had that company for almost 6 years, right? Just I think it was just over 6 years as I ran Violet Minded, and it was fun. I'd been building websites since I was like 15 years old, and by the time I got to 30, I'm like, listen, I've been doing this for 15 years. I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. So I closed up shop. I said, I'll give it one more shot, but I'm going to go work for someone for a while and see how that works. I'm not very good at working for people, as it turns out. And it was around this time where I was like, but what if I started doing more with writing? So it was back in like 2010. I was working with Gaming Angels, and Gaming Angels is still around. It's just around in a very different form these days. And I did my first game review. I went to E3 in 2010 for the first time, which was the most bonkers year to ever go to E3 because I saw Eminem and Rihanna live because Activision was paying for it.
Oh wow.
Back when Guitar Hero was really big.
I was going to ask what was the big one? It was Guitar Hero. Okay.
It was Guitar Hero and DJ Hero. Those were the biggies at the time, and it was the most bonkers year to be a game journalist. It definitely was. And I didn't consider myself a game journalist back then. I was just kind of like this entertainment blogger, writer, because everybody starts somewhere.
Mhm.
Everybody starts somewhere. But it was just a side hustle. Like, it was just a side hustle. I did it when I had time. I loved reviewing games. I loved talking about games. But for the most part, in 2010 I got pregnant for the first time. So I mean, I had my son in 2011, and then in 2012 I had my daughter. So life got really really busy. So I was very focused on my business for, 2013, 2014. And then I came back to game journalism in 2015, which is where you and I met, which was very exciting. It was genuinely very exciting.
Right. No, and then what? So we had our time with our friends over at Loot Crate.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. Do we have to bleep that out later? But I could say their name, right? That's a fair
I
thing,
think
right?
so. Yeah. I mean, it's all true, so yes. And we
um,
had we honestly had a magical time there. Like so much of that time there, especially when we were playing Dungeons and Dragons, we were playing
oh,
Shadowrun.
that's so fun. Yeah.
We had a blast so much of the time. It was this bespoke time period of being a writer and being a content creator that I would not trade for the world.
Right. Well, and I think that's to me that was the time that really I think springboarded like my career. Like I met you and so many other people that really, like you said, we're still in contact. We're still
Yeah.
colleagues. And really that was a cool time. Like our careers, my career springboarded, but tell us what happened, what's been happening since that halcyon day of when we were young
When we were young and fresh.
and our children were young.
Yes, when our children were very small. Our children are not small anymore.
No.
Our boys are the same age, and it's like, whew, it's a lot. It's a lot. So like after Loot Crate, and I was like, listen, I learned so much from Loot Crate, and I learned so much under the tutelage of, our lead editor. And she taught me a lot in this industry, and she really did steward a lot of my early career as a writer. And I'm going to be forever grateful for that, and forever grateful for the contributions that she made. And I wanted to take that and like actually build a career, like a real career, where like I was able to just kind of carve out a little niche for myself, where it wasn't about like I'm just following the same people around, or I'm just doing the same stuff all the time. What if I did something different? Because I like doing things different. Let's be real. Like, I have a reputation in this industry.
It's true.
I always got to do stuff different. So after that, after I left the Daily Crate and said goodbye to our friends and, moved on, I started working freelance and I had my first piece published, paid for at Mashable.com
Oh, okay.
in
That's right.
2017, where I wrote about Watch Dogs 2 and hacktivism and the importance of hacktivism in the wake of a potentially very problematic government change in the United States.
Huh.
Hmm,
Yeah,
how portentous.
finger on the pulse. Was that you?
A little bit, small bit, small bit. And I did a little bit more freelancing, and I did a couple more game reviews for Mashable under Tina Amini, another person that I really do hold up as one of my biggest. She was like my first champion in this industry. Like, she really championed my first really big break, and she made that possible. And so did my best friend Adam Rosenberg, who is the weekend editor at Mashable,
Mhm.
and works has been working there for a long time, and my partner Mike as well opened a lot of those doors. And after that, I applied to work at Mike.com. Oh, Mike.com. Those were storied fable days. They were.
How excited we all were.
Gosh,
This was happening for you.
multiplayer was this time period in my life where everything seemed possible. And I was surrounded by young, talented, charismatic, energetic people who loved video games, who loved social justice, and talking about the importance of representation, diversity, and inclusion. And they came from all walks of life, and some of them were newer writers, they were fresh out of college, and some of them were, more established. But it was I still talk to these people all the time. Like, not as much as we did back in 2017, obviously, but in 2017, when I became one of the game editors, these were some of my favorite people in the whole world. Like, they were my family. They honestly were. And it was devastating when Mike pivoted to video, and they're like, "Oh yeah, all you journalists, yeah, sorry about that. The gaming journalists especially, no, we're done here.
Ugh.
You guys had a good run." And we're like, "No, but we've only been around for 3 months. We've only been a real vertical for 3 months. That's it."
Didn't have enough time to gather that traction, right? There's
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like, it's not to say that we didn't have great performance, because we did. We were one of the biggest verticals on the site. It was a lot of internal politics. I don't want to get into it or anything like that, but it was amazing. And losing my job the way that I did, where I was kind of the last person standing. I was the last editor standing, and I'd lost my entire team for the most part, was devastating. And I thought that was it. I would thought that that was the universe sending me the signal that I don't belong here.
Hmm.
I don't belong in this industry. I don't belong doing this work. And I was a mess. I was a mess for months, many of them. And then I met James Brightman. And James Brightman changed my life. He really did. And I will absolutely tell this to him on Wednesday when I talk to him, because we have our bi-weekly beer night
Oh,
over
nice.
Zoom. Um and it's lovely. It's very wholesome, because we're both parents. He's got twin boys that are in kindergarten. So I mean, like, we're all parents, so it's fun. But James changed my life. Like, he genuinely did change my life. And I was connected with James to talk about a potential job. I didn't know what the job was going to be, but I knew it was a journalism job of some kind, a game journalism job of some kind. And little did I know that that little job was going to turn out to be the managing editor at a brand new little website called GameDaily.biz.
Mhm.
And Game Daily remains to this day my baby. It was my bouncing baby website.
Yeah, I remember I was with Extra Life at the time,
Yes.
at E3
18?
2018. Was 2008?
Yeah. That's when we launched. We launched the week before E3 2018.
Yeah, and you came by and said hi, and we exchanged, and I think I might have met James at the time.
I think so.
And I was like, oh, that's going to be a fun website. And then little do you know, it becomes something else. And do you want to talk about that a little bit? It's like your baby. What was that? What?
Well, my baby originally, I didn't know what the hell it was going to be. I know that what we wanted to be at the beginning is we wanted to be new industry news with context. We wanted to filter what was going on in the game industry through a critical cultural lens so that people that are, they were industry enthusiasts, so either they knew about the industry but didn't know too much about the business underpinnings, or they were in the industry and they needed the news broken down for them to be like, why is this important to me? Why should I care? What does this mean for the broader scope of the game industry? So that's what we became, is we became not just another site telling the same story, but we became the definitive story on many different industry beats, and not all of them, because like our staff was like
Sure.
tiny, small staff. But we had a great news team, and actually the new editor in chief at Game Daily was my first hire. He was my first pick for my news team. And little did I know that Mr. Sam Desitoff would become this powerhouse of an industry, like just really gets it, like understands business in a way that I didn't realize that he did. And I look at the stuff that he does now, and his nose for a story is so solid, and his editorial direction is amazing. And I can't even take credit for it. Like, I'd love to take credit for it and say, this is me, I did all this, but it
No.
wasn't. I just gave him a platform and I said, do what you do best, be amazing, and I will be here to help edit you and to help you, be the best version of yourself and the best version of your work. I'll just help you bring that out into the world. And yeah, that's kind of how Game Daily started. And then I got put onto Super Parent, which was owned by the same company. And I was over at Super Parent as managing editor for a number of months until I took over as editor in chief. And I took over at Game Daily as editor in chief around the same time. And it was just like I was running these two very different sites with two very different sets of people. And honestly, it ended up being too much for one human. I am but one human.
I don't know. I think some people would argue that.
That I'm secretly 3 raccoons in a trench coat.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone.
Okay. I thought it was a Canadian thing. I didn't know.
So I'm 3 mooses in a trench coat? Actually, that would make more sense. That means I take up more room. That's fine. 3 mooses in several trench coats. Nailed it. Got it in 3. So yeah, it ended up being too much for me. I was working really long hours, and I wasn't seeing my kids. I wasn't really seeing my family. I've got 4 children and 3 partners. That's a big family.
You have a large family.
It's enormous. And I have 2 dogs. There are 10 humans, or there are 10 living creatures rather, in my home at any given time. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And I wasn't paying attention to them, and my health was starting to decline. And I had to make a choice. I'm like, do I choose my family and myself, or do I choose putting more into my career in this way that is just not healthy?
Right.
So I chose myself, and I chose a different direction for myself, which is kind of how I ended up where I am today.
No, I think it's fascinating. I'm going to pause this one second real quick.
Not a problem. Where am I today?
I don't know. Where are you? Tell us.
I love that, like, I can point to little pieces of my journey and be like, at this point in time, I was an entrepreneur and a web developer and a web designer, but also I had this side hustle, and then the side hustle became the main hustle, and then where am I now?
No, then that's exactly why I wanted to talk to you. It's you have a dynamic path through multiple industries, and it's amazing.
It's so true. It's because I'm so bad at waiting for other people to say, yeah, we want you.
Right.
Yeah, you're necessary. I'm just like, what? No, I don't need your approval. I'm going to just do this anyway. So we're just going to go. So back when the global pepperoni started last year, I don't know. I was going to call it the Panera, but I like Panera, so I don't really want to call it the global Panera. That's just mean to Panera. Back when all of this nonsense started, last March. It was around this time where I looked at my partner Mike and I said two things. One, we should start a podcast. And he's like, okay, well, we've been trying to start a podcast for 2 years, so this is valid. And I'm like, yeah, but what if we started the podcast like next week, and also we booked guests every day for a week? And also, what if we started a business? How would you feel about all of that? And he's like, why are you the way you are? Why do you have to do everything at the same time? I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, but also I'm going to start streaming again next week. How do you feel about that? And he's like, do you have to fill every hour of every day? Spoiler alert. Yes, I do.
Yes, it's true.
Yes, I do. I absolutely do. Because if I'm not being a mom and I'm not being, a good partner and a good friend, I'm just like, no, I got stuff to do, man. I got to keep my brain occupied. I'm like a shark. If I stop moving, I'll die.
I believe that.
I just have so much energy. Um, so we started Virtual Economy. And it was about a year ago. And we started it off by looking at the state of the industry at the beginning of the pandemic, because we wanted to be able to point back a year later, 2 years later, at what happened and how we got to where we are from where we were. Because that's a huge part of the work that I've done for so many years, is trend analysis and pattern recognition and disseminating really complex business ideas into digestible formats. And so we turned that into a podcast. These days, Virtual Economy is mostly a news show. We don't do too many interviews anymore, but we have so much fun talking about business and financials and mergers and acquisitions and drama between publishers and developers. Like, it's fun. We have a good time. And if you ever need to know about the legal comings and goings of the game industry, we got you.
No, and I think that's the thing, is like it has so much substance to it. I don't get to listen to it often, but when I do, I feel so much better informed about the topic at hand. I think specifically the GameStop
Game
stocks,
stonks.
game stonks.
Game stonks.
Like at the time of this recording, it was going up again, like
It is
tremendous, and
Yep.
and so
It was like at 175 this morning.
yeah, but then like you and Mike cover it in such a palatable way. So for somebody who's, I'm not of that mind, it's a good listen. It's informative. It's smart. It's funny.
We try to keep it light, because if we're not having fun, what are we doing?
Exactly. Well, that's phenomenal. So Virtual Economy has been keeping you busy, but you also have,
I got
again,
other stuff.
you have other stuff. You have Ready Player Mom, right?
I do. So Ready Player Mom started in 2018 over on Mixer. And that was just like, it was a weekly show. I would just come on and I would find a game, usually a Nintendo game, because Nintendo was so good to us and continues to be really good to Super Parent. And I always wanted to have something like interesting and fun and unexpected to showcase on Ready Player Mom. So it was either a Nintendo game or it was a kid-friendly indie. And we would just sit there and we would talk about it and we would play it and we'd have a discussion about its cultural context or talk about the development. Um, and then I had to step away from it because like I was running two sites and it turns out that I can't run two sites and a stream.
It's a
Who
lot.
knew? Who knew?
Yeah.
So I had to step away from it. And then in 2020, so last year, I started it up again. And I'm still really good friends with the editor in chief over at Super Parent. She's a cherished friend. We talk all the time. And I was like, how would you feel about me taking back Ready Player Mom? And she's like, that's your brand, of course. Like, it's good. Like, unless you're saying to me that you want to take over Super Parent again, I mean, which would be not okay unless you were working with me again. But yeah, Ready Player Mom's yours. So I started up Ready Player Mom again, and I mostly started it up as a way to play Civ every week with my friend Sarah.
No, it's a fascinating. Because I lurk often. I used to on in the background. You talk about history, and
I
you
do.
talk about like, and it's a really fun way just to kind of have in the background to hear your banter. Very funny.
We have a
I'm
really good
lousy at
time.
Civ. Yeah, I'm lousy at Civ, so I wouldn't ever um, really benefit from. I'd always get beat up. I'd always lose at the barbarian stage at first. I'd always be invaded. I'm like, I don't know. Trying to grow a crop, I guess. I don't know what's happening.
I need walls. I need walls. I don't know. I don't know. All we know is we need rocks and masonry and walls and maybe 3 archers and we're good. Nailed it.
I love it.
Extremely nailed it. You don't mind my partner in the background just kind of like doing the thing. He just shimmies away. This is being recorded.
It's staying in. It's staying in the interview.
Staying in.
Yeah, it's staying in.
It's just gonna be your butt.
Left that part out.
Well,
I didn't know.
all right. Well, now I have to edit it. Thanks, Mike.
He said he'll edit it if you want him to.
No, I totally will.
No. I've been working out. My butt's great.
I've been working out. My butt's great. There we go. Nailed it. Got him.
Let's shift gears just a little bit and talk about some of the more charitable endeavors that you had over this last year. I know that you've done several fundraising streams, been a part of others. What motivates you to be a fundraiser? What is the thing that you like about it the most, and then what is your why behind it?
So it all, like, everything is kind of intertwined, right? I look back at my career and how I started, and all I wanted to do was connect with people. In the early days, it was just like I wanted to meet other women, especially who were like me, because I didn't grow up with any like other girls that played games. And it started off as a way to connect, and fundraising for me is another way to connect. It's another way to get people interested in the things that I find important. I've raised money for able gamers. I just wrapped up a big fundraiser with the Radically Kind Gamers stream team that I'm a part of, that Zombie Kills is the team lead of, and it's full of these amazing humans that I just adore. And we've raised so much money for heart support, which is such an important cause, especially for me. I've had bipolar my whole life, and well, almost my whole life. I was 15, 16, really, when I realized that I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not like other people. Maybe those wicked mood swings are a little not normal. So at any rate, it's such an important cause and such an important thing for me to put my time, my money, my effort into, to ensure that people like me, that are younger than me, that might not have had the support that I had, that might not have been able to access mental health resources, that they can go to heart support and they can be taken care of. And when we announced that this was going to be like our charity, that we were going to be doing this big fundraising push for, I was like, I am in. That's awesome. That's a deeply, it's something that's really close to my heart, and being able to raise money so that I can help other folks that are like me, that need that extra support, it was just so humbling. It was such a humbling experience.
No, it's amazing, and you all did tremendous, especially the community of fundraisers that rallied around Radically Kind Gamers. And was it SideQuest?
And it was SideQuest, yeah. So it was like our sister team. They're our sister team.
Yeah, tens of thousands of dollars raised for heart support, and over the course of was it just a weekend of fundraising, or it was about a week?
It was a week. It was 1 week of fundraising where we were able to do that. And we did this big challenge as well for trading spaces. We built up these beautiful homes in The Sims, and then, sent them off for judging. I raised a bunch of money during those streams as well. It was just such a blast.
That's so fun. No, that's fantastic. Well,
and then this past weekend, we did a huge fundraising push for the nonprofit that I'm a part of, which I haven't talked about yet.
Right. No, a perfect segue. Like, you are on the board of a relatively new nonprofit that's joined the Tiltify family. You want to talk about them?
I absolutely want to talk about them. I love talking about Hit Save. I love them so much. So yes, I am on the board of directors. I am the director of communications, at HitSave, and HitSave is a video game preservation nonprofit that is focused on international video game preservation efforts, not just based in the United States or anywhere in particular. You know, we take a look at projects all over the world, and we actively just finished raising almost $3,000 for the Nintendo Game Boy Advanced e-reader preservation project. That is a mouthful.
Wow.
And the Nintendo Game Boy Advance e-reader was something that wasn't super popular in the West, but it has a large breadth of games that it touched, and, you know, pieces of that peripheral that do deserve to be preserved. And so the preservation efforts there are expensive. You know, you have to go and, you know, buy all the cards and buy all the pieces of equipment that you need in order to properly preserve them. And they will be available. Like, you can take a look at a lot of this stuff that the e-reader crew continues to do, and you can just look at it online.
Oh, wow.
And that's kind of the purpose of Hit Save, is that a lot of the work that we're doing, including the indie game preservation project, which is what I'm spearheading, it's all about talking to indies and getting them to talk about the stories behind the development. So developers that might not have like made a lot of splash with mainstream press, because let's be real, everything gets buried because there's a lot of video games and not enough game journalists.
Mhm.
Resources are finite, as it turns out. So that's where HitSave really does come in, is we want to preserve these stories, these pieces of technology for future students, for our children, for future developers, for the industry. And we're still working on, you know, what those structures really look like and how those are going to continue to withstand the test of time. But we have a broad range of people in our Discord that are preservationists. You know, we work with Gaming Alexandria. Um, we have other partnerships that are going to be coming up this year, and we're going to be doing a number of fundraisers on Twitch, and we're going to be bringing lots of other retro streamers in to talk about the pieces of technology that have either had an impact on them directly or that they love because they never were able to get their hands on it. And it's great to be able to see it from that perspective. So that's kind of what HitSave is all about, what we've been up to over at HitSave and raising money. And it was an amazing charity day. Like, we raised so much money.
Right. Yeah. So just give a little bit of what is the impact of that money raised?
So all
Can
of
you put
that
into context there?
So all of that is going to go towards preserving the Nintendo Game Boy Advance e-reader. So there are a number of like, they're really like these flimsy cardboard cutouts, essentially. Like, there's
Okay.
cardboard cards, and they're supposed to be swiped into the e-reader itself. And so that's like early DLC.
Right.
And if they're not properly preserved, there are these dots on the e-reader cards that disintegrate, and that content is just lost. It's lost forever. And because that content is only available on those, like, through those cards, not on them because they're cardboard obviously, but like unlocked through the e-reader itself, the cards are so important, and they're so difficult to preserve because they're flimsy, they don't stand up to the test of time, but they are considered the earliest interpretation of amiibo.
Oh, hey, look who you have. I have one too. I have her too. She's right here. She sits next to me
I
too.
love her. I love her so
So
much. Cat
fun.
Peach for life. I have lots of amiibos back there. It's like, it's a lot. I have like Monster Hunter Stories amiibos back there. I got my Joker amiibo. Like, it's a lot of amiibos over there. But they are considered to be the earliest iteration of what would become amiibos. And amiibos are like these, like we just showed off, right? Like, these cute little collectibles. They're like little toys, and you put them onto your Switch, and they have downloadable content that is directly tied to whatever video game you scan them into. So for like Breath of the Wild, you get to not have terrible weapon durability, which has been really great because I don't like weapon durability in Breath of the Wild. It keeps chasing me away. But my amiibo, they
Your
keep
amiibo
me in.
helps. Yeah, right.
The amiibo, they help.
Yeah,
They
they're a lot of
really do
fun.
help.
That's really fascinating, and I love the kind of like the the scope of charity that you're involved in. You're involved in the things that matter most to you.
Yes,
But they are
absolutely.
totally two different things, but they both have an incredible value.
They do.
And so so thank you, first of all, for being a fundraiser on the platform, and also thank HitSave for being a charity and a cause that leverages, all the cool things that we get to do over here at Tiltify. You make our community really, really, really special. So
thank you.
So I want to recap all the places for people to find you and all the amazing things you're doing now. So we have the Virtual Economy podcast.
Yep, you can find that at virtualeconcast.com or on Twitter at virtualeconcast.
We can watch you playing Civilization on Ready Player Mom. Is that twitch.tv/
Ready Player Mama. Ready Player Mama on Twitch. Yeah, I'm still Ready Player Mom, but I had to migrate from Mixer, and Ready Player Mom on Twitch was already taken. So I am Ready Player Mama.
Gotcha. And then
so I'm there 3 days a week.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. And then HitSave. HitSave, is it hitsave.org that people can find out more?
It is hitsave.org, or you can follow us on Twitter at hitsaveorg.
That's fantastic. And I think it's probably tiltify.com/hitsave if you want to.
I believe so.
Visit their profile page. I'll put all of it in the notes for the video. Amanda, I could literally talk to you for hours because we have that gift.
I love talking to you. Talking to you is easy as breathing. It's wonderful. Thank you so much for this. This was such a rewarding conversation.
And I appreciate it. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. And I appreciate you. And I'm sure we'll talk again soon. And I can't wait to see you and Mike and everyone in person, hopefully sometime early next year, as early as possible.
Yes, please. Absolutely. We need to have dinner. That's
Sounds
all
great.
I know.
I love it. All right, you take care of yourself. We'll talk soon.
Okay.